Hi, hi.
See if it's okay. Hey everyone. I don't know if you can hear us, but welcome to Connection to the Cosmos with me, your host, Dr. Lisa Thompson. And I have out of this world conversations with extraordinary people. And today I'm so excited to have on Irene Eno as my guest. She is my soul sister from an Arcturian mister. Okay, let me just read a little bit more about Irene. Irene is an Arcturian Starseed who owns a crystal shop, Mermaids Crystals and Souvenirs in Kailua-Kona, Hawaii. She was born in Hawaii and raised in Tunisia, Northern Africa.
Born in Texas. Sorry.
Born in Texas. Yeah, born in Texas.
Yes.
Yes, but raised in Tunisia. Yes. As early as age 6, she knew she wasn't from this planet, telling her mother that she was from somewhere far away, like the moon. When she was 12 years old, living in Tunisia, she was in the car with her father, correct? Mm-hmm. When the entire freeway of cars came to a standstill as everyone witnessed a spacecraft for several minutes in broad daylight. Yep. Can't wait to hear about that. Yeah. Irene is an intuitive with the abilities of claircognizance, clairvoyance, and channeling. Recently, during the 2/22/22 portal, she experienced a strong activation and a shift occurred where source golden light burst through her heart chakra and turned to pure white light, which remains to this day. Although she's had a number of traumatic events throughout her life, she's been able to heal the pain and hate she carried in this earth life. Welcome, Irene. How are you doing?
Really good. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yes, and we are streaming live, so good. We had a little technical difficulty coming to you live through Zoom instead of StreamYard today, but I am so honored to have you here. Since day one, like the first second I met you, I knew that you were my person, right? You're my sister. And we didn't know about the Arcturian connection at that point, but you're one of the very first people I met on island because you were looking for a jewelry artist.
Yep.
And I reached out and we got together. And, you know, actually one of the things how I knew we were going to be like such good friends and soul sisters was your profile picture at the time was one of your alien that you sell at the shop. So I'm like, I saw that profile picture. I'm like, I have to know her. So we'll talk about the crystal skulls later. But what I would love for you to share first is let's talk about that Tunisia spacecraft experience. Because I'm sure people are going to be like, what? Broad daylight and the whole freeway? So
yes, thank you. Yes, actually, my dad was driving and it was about 1 o'clock or so. I remember we just had lunch and we were driving and then suddenly the traffic starts slowing and completely stopped. So when it completely stopped, we had like 3 or 4 lanes on this side and same on the other.
So like a major freeway.
Yes, a major, like the artery of North Africa kind of thing. So my dad, he's like, okay, maybe there's like this huge accident. But then he starts seeing people getting out of their cars and looking up to the sky. And then he is a career officer in the North African country. So, and North African, they're predominantly majority, they're all Muslim countries.
Yeah.
So I'm 12, I'm not 4. I was 12 and my memory is very clear. I know what I was looking at.
Yeah.
So he, in order maybe for us kids, because it was me and my little brother, not to panic, we thought I was just excited, and he's like, oh no, that's just military craft training. Mind you, this was like in the early 80s, and it was, I'm gonna try hopefully describe a little bit. It was just in broad daylight and an African sun, and it was this amazing source of light, just big, let me try to describe how big. It was big. It was a big, just all you could see is light, like a light in the broad daylight. So you can imagine how bright that was. And then it would stay a little bit like almost as if it was not moving at all in one spot. And then it would completely disappear in like a blink of an eye, like, or even just a blink, in a blink of an eye, and it would appear maybe say a couple miles away, maybe like a mile on the other spot, and come back to where it was initially in a blink, in a blink, in a blink. So,
So
and
it's like jumping around.
exactly, it was jumping. So it went from one side to, it was lateral like that, and then it went up like that, and then would stay still for a little bit, as
Okay.
if like, look at me, hello, I'm over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we were looking, and everybody was like, some people were a little bit worried, doing their prayers, and my dad is like, la la la, nothing's happening. And I'm like, I was not worried or scared or anything. It felt so peaceful, but also like it felt captivating. Obviously, can you imagine in broad daylight? But it didn't feel like, you would think if he says military craft training, that would be a little scary. Like, what are they training for or something, you know?
Right.
But it was so beautiful. Here's a kicker that I found out not this long ago. Customers of mine, when we were sharing, because they were loving on the alien skull heads that I have, they said, did you see the documentary on Netflix about the kids in Africa, South Africa, that saw in broad daylight crafts? And I was like, I did not see it. I have to. So apparently it was around the same.
They were at school, right?
They were in the school.
Yeah,
So
I did. I saw that documentary.
I haven't seen that yet, but it was around the same time that I experienced it up north.
Okay.
So I'm like, so, and that was my most vivid experience in broad daylight. I've had others, not as length in time and not as like irrefutable. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yes, and it lasted for a couple minutes, no doubt. And then it just out of nowhere, just completely gone. And
Disappeared.
people were still waiting, like, and then eventually left.
Yeah.
And then of course in the country they did not cover it, so it's not like we can go in archives, and because it's against the religion that there is anything out there. So unfortunately there is no archives of it. Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
that's incredible because obviously multiple, like it was a mass sighting.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
if that happened in our country,
Yeah.
it would be reported. It would be all over the news.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like your dad, did he just completely dismiss that experience? Like when you got back in the car, were you out of the car like the other people?
No, he asked us not to get out of the car, and I was like bummed because I could see people getting out and standing, so I guess, I don't know, until today his stance is a little bit different, but I'm not sure why. It's just some people, maybe it's too much to admit that there's something out there, but also he is much deeper in his religion than I am. So maybe it goes against his beliefs to say, oh, there is intelligence out there. You know what I mean? So, but it was irrefutable, and he stuck to military, foreign military training. I'm like, we don't have any gas, any oils, any diamonds. What are they training here for? Like,
yeah.
But
Yeah, well, and very interesting because, okay, so if you were 12, then what year would that have been in?
So 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very interesting. And now from that experience, so you already were telling your mom you're not from this planet.
Yeah.
So what were you feeling as a child? And again, like, so your mother, she's from Mexico, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have this Tunisian father, you have this Mexican mother.
Yeah.
Very different belief system than maybe that is open to all of this stuff.
Absolutely, yes. Oh, especially old school. I think that I'm glad for this new generations. I see, that parents are more supportive and understanding, even not necessarily the Middle East, no, but in Mexico, they're more open, to But it was really, really tough for many, many years as I learned to not share anymore anything,
Mhm.
because I could see, especially my mom's reaction. I wouldn't tell my dad because we weren't really close back then, and I know how rigid he is in his thinking. So I was
Yeah.
hoping I could tell my mom, but my mom was adamant about, you have a vivid imagination and it's not healthy for you to think those things and feel those things. And she made me feel like there was something wrong with me for many, 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 many years. So, but until I was telling her things that were starting to actually happen, they were not portrayed in the media at all. I didn't have access to internet. So when I was telling her things that are happening, then she was like, I think she's starting to understand that there's something there. I'm not just imagination because it's happening.
Yeah.
But I think it also scared her a little bit, given that she's super, super religious, like old school Catholic.
Mhm.
And anything that you see, that's the devil giving you the information, basically. So,
Yeah. I mean, okay, so you have this
yeah,
Muslim father, this Catholic mom, and here you are, very gifted, coming into the world like with your psychic abilities and feeling like you're not part of this world.
yeah.
So how, like, when you were a child, how did your abilities, how did they show up for you? How did
The
you
ver-
experience those?
yes, the very first time, which is interesting because one of my mom's best friends, she's North African, she's Arab,
Mhm.
100%, and she deals with traditional medicine. So she's a herbalist. That's all she's done all her life, and she has some gifts as well. So later, as my mom, my mom never really embraced it until later and later, later when if there is no more denying it kind of thing.
Okay.
But at the very beginning, when I was experiencing things and we go to visit my mom's friend, I
Yeah.
try to sneak when my mom's not looking and go talk to her friend and say, hey, auntie, I saw this, this, and this. And I would confide in her in secret. And then she knew what my mom's stance was. So she would tell me, don't worry, that's light, that's good. And these are like shadow beings and stuff. So she was secretly mentoring me. Like,
Okay.
that was my only safe space. Yeah, was with her.
Well, thank goodness you had
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Right?
absolutely. Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that, we have, I mean, you're a mom, I'm a mom, and we have gifted children, and we know a lot of people with gifted children. And when that gets suppressed,
Yeah.
it can cause so much anxiety and
Yeah.
depression and
And it did.
mental
Yeah.
illness. And
Yeah.
so, by, I think by us being aware of, what is real to us, and having our children and allowing them to be who they are and not suppressing anything, we are creating, a more open world.
It's safe. Definitely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Finally. So she never openly said, okay, let's seek guidance, or she never leave, but she left me alone. She was not attacking anymore. And she
Okay.
used to be super aggressive when I was young. So um yes, but for many years it was ingrained in me because we saw her friend very, like, not often.
Uh-huh.
So the majority of the time it was like bad, 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 good, bad, bad, you know what I mean? So for many years it didn't feel right until you know I always felt the more I tried to suppress it, the more I was the more it was in my dreams, in my wake, the more you suppress it, the more I'm not sure what the word to use. So I finally started to like embrace and accept it because I knew I felt right, I felt complete,
Yeah.
and I felt completely lost and numb the more I fought it. So, and with that came peace, and with that, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so that leads me to my next question. So then, as an adult, when did you really start allowing yourself to be who you are, and then actually start knowing, like, oh, I really actually am from a different place?
Yeah, I finally made complete peace, and it took a lot of rewiring because our 3D brains, you can wire them a certain way given like how somebody's like brought up and everything. So that took a lot of hard work, and it was after the birth of my second daughter.
Mhm.
About 15 years ago.
Okay.
About 15 years ago, I'm like, I started to just not, okay, example. Anytime I would see shadow or somebody would walk in the space and I get some channeling information for them, I would like block and say, no, 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 this is bad, this is wrong, da, 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 da. 15 years ago, I'm like, no, I'm getting this because this information I'm getting could help them, could like avoid. So I started seeing it for what it is. It's
Mhm.
not evil, it's not bad. So, and I started sometimes just approaching people, say, may I share this with you? And then they say yes. And then so that started about 15 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of like how Teresa Caputo, Long Island medium, when she goes up to people in the stores, like, I have this message for you. I don't know. Is that how?
It's true. And I do that. I think it's one of the things that my regular people that come to my shop love is I feel like they almost come in more to see if I have some information for them. And I ask because, I don't want to force if somebody doesn't want that, doesn't believe in it, they think it's of the devil. I don't want to be forceful with any of that, so
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
beautiful. So, okay, so let's go to the Arcturian thing. So tell me, I know that we were having conversations because you were having visions, like really, really vivid visions on like kind of history of war and other things going on, but it wasn't Earth humans.
Yeah.
And wondering, like seeing what the beings were looking like. And so tell me that story and share that with everyone.
Yes.
Like that started and then how we determined it was Arcturian.
Mm-hmm. And it was a little before we met, about a year or two, actually about almost 2 years, recurring dreams, the same. I would have like 2 or 3 that are recurring of the vision. And here's the thing, since my upbringing was very, very controlled, now the media is way more free in North Africa.
Okay.
So I've always felt, I would look at the sky and I'm like, that my home is there since little. But I had nowhere to tap into, like, I didn't see E.T. until I was an adult. Even E.T. did not play in North Africa back in my time. Okay. So I did not know there was even a possibility, given that everybody's telling you bad and wrong, So, but so this is what happens, especially in our circle. When I have experiences of past life, or even with the Arcturians, and I don't have a specific name. That's why I love that you were able to give me answers, because I never pursued it. Like I never like researched, and you hear about Area 51 since I left North Africa, but I did not have the idea of star seeds, that I did not have the information. I did not have that knowledge at all, that, hey, you felt, you're right all along. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I've had these recurrent visions. And when I described it to you, of the color in the face and the length under the tree of life that would appear, and it felt very familiar to me, to a point, like just love and familiarity, like remember who you are always. And it never clicked in my 3D brain that's been so conditioned and bombarded, and you know what I mean? So you're the first person that I trusted to fully describe and everything. So here's the thing, why I'm saying all this, that it confirms, this is why. So had I was in a milieu, in an area where I grew up around the aliens, and even like cartoon, what are those magazines, you know what I mean, like with know whatever. So had I grew up, exactly, I would have then been, oh well, it's an implanted idea. So when somebody that's been
shut off from
completely
the world,
from that, and actually has vivid recurring visions, and then as somebody that has an idea, and then I've had somebody tell me last year, they takes them by surprise, like, you don't know who that is, like some goddesses in the Hindu culture. And I'm like, well, she has this color, she has these arms, and they look at me like, really, you don't know who that is? And I'm like, no. I grew up with no internet, no very sheltered Muslim country. I don't know who that is at all.
Right.
So it takes them a little bit by surprise that I'm actually having these authentic experiences, not having how do you say that, influenced by like a movie or whatever, you know what I'm talking about, or documentaries.
Yes, I completely do, because when I on the times where I've guided people to meet their galactic family,
Yeah.
and the ones that are able to like really visualize, they have not studied the different alien races at all. Like they don't know how many fingers they have. They, you know, everyone, yes, kind of has an idea of the grays.
Yeah.
But really they don't know the other groups unless they just really go down that rabbit hole, which most people don't.
Yeah.
And so when I have done these experiences and they're describing in full detail, like 3 fingers and with an extra digit, a thumb, and what like the skin color.
Yeah.
And then I'm showing them pictures afterwards and they're like, oh my God, that's exactly what I saw.
Yeah.
And that's how I discovered my Arcturians too. I didn't know what an Arcturian was, but I journeyed and I met them and I could like, so beautiful. And then fortunately there was a lady in the class with me that knew some of those different groups. And so I went home and Googled, because she's like, it's either the Arcturians or the Avians, what you were describing. So I went home and as soon as I saw the picture, I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I saw. So
that was my experience. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's independent, and you know, this happens all the time. And I think it's a beautiful validation that we have this ability to go beyond this physical body and truly know, like we can journey to other places with our minds and get real information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's interesting because it all ties in, honestly, because for the longest time, the Arcturian that I was seeing, come to find out he's actually my direct father. And basically all I've been through, and this video can take an all day. And I'm not the only one that went through stuff, but I'm saying I never understood why. And I've always, since I was like a teen or something, I always say I had an alien heart. I remember in high school, I was like, oh, my alien heart. That's because before all the like compounding trauma and PTSD and all that, it always felt like it could love more than the capacity that was around me. So it loved more, it felt more, it had empathy more, like more than anybody I've met. I'm not saying don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, you know. So, but with the recurring visions and everything, that's fully the energy that I felt, and not just because it's my father, but that's the essence of the Arcturians. Is pure love. It's just love, and I know, I'm sure the folks that are watching us, it doesn't mean, you know, like, oh, the love and light. No, it's not like that, you know. And basically today I can say I went through everything I can go through, so I can actually relate and help guide those that are in pain and darkness and everything into a more love-based, you know, existence. And I never saw it that way. And I mean, it culminated on the activation on the 22nd. I mean, that was that was very beautiful.
Well, we'll get back to the visions in a moment. So talk about that activation. And so we were on the 2/22/22 portal. We gathered with some like-minded people. And I led people through a meditation to raise their vibration and activate their DNA, connect stronger, and then call them in. And then there was also a theta light going at the same time. And so, so everyone had different experiences with that, but yours,
okay.
Your experience was pretty.
So what, right? Like, what's interesting what's interesting is I know I hope, I mean, I know you know me, but many people that are watching don't know me. I did not, I mean, I know intrinsically that white light is good, but I did not know that it's representative of source light and heal. You know, I did not know that. Let's be honest. I own a crystal shop. I'm intuitive and all that, but I don't study like the different.
Yeah.
I don't dive deep in that side. I don't know if that makes any sense. So I started asking. So this is what happened. And I think it's because the way that I've been conditioned of questioning, and anything that's not streamlined, you need to question, and it's bad somewhere hidden back here. So when we were going through the chakras and the heart, it's like bursted from within. And I was seeing the green. I'm like, okay, you know, nothing. And then it bursted from inside, and an aura of strong, irrefutable white with some golden strings like that around it. I'm like, is this supposed to do that? I mean, I know white, I know white light is good. I mean, it's good. It feels good. It feels amazing. It feels unreal. What is happening? And then I'm like, okay, we'll come back green as we were continuing, you know, through all the chakras. And I'm like, what does this mean? And then as I was saying, what does this mean? I felt the most, I don't want to get emotional. The most peace I've ever felt in my entire life. And I mean, so, and up until a couple days before that, I was still, and it doesn't mean like all my memories are gone. No, what's interesting was this: what happened. Every memory that I had that had created all these traumas and complex PTSD and all those things, I can see them, but there is a complete peace in my heart, like in my being. There's no pain and I've lived with agony and pain and waiting on karma to do her work, and that kept me encaged in my own pain, and you know what I mean. So that's what that did. Yes, I still have those memories, but if there is no, I can't, I don't even, there was just love and just complete.
Yeah.
It's, I thought I would reach that. You know, they say people on their deathbed, you know, they're like, they go through regrets and and peaceful or whatever. And I thought that maybe I'm going to be on my deathbed regretting not having let go, regretting not having healed. That's what I thought. And then when that happened, I can't, I'm so grateful. And ever since, I'm like, how can I help others? How can I guide others? Ever since, you know, I'm getting a little emotional.
No, that's the beauty of I mean, you have had a lot of trauma, just like a lot of our viewers have, and I have.
Yeah.
When we can truly like actually heal that and then come from that place of love and compassion, then it really does become about service to others.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's been a few weeks, but it's still there for you.
It's that, okay, that's the other part that's got me a little.
So it's not like it was just the one day or a few days.
Exactly. And then I went into, oh my gosh, I don't want this to go away. This feels so good, you know, and but it's still fully white, to the point where I'm like, I want to tattoo it on my arm or something. I don't know. And even on the daily, okay, this is embarrassing to admit, but even on the road, I used to get frustrated with crazy drivers and stuff. And now I'm like, well, I hope their day gets better. And then my husband looks at me and is like, you're not angry, you're not frustrated. What is going on? I'm loving this. I mean, I can't. It's,
well, because you're a fiery Aries. And
exactly. I don't know. And I'm like, if I'm not the fiery Aries, what's going on? But I'm loving it. And my 3D self is saying, I really, really hope it stays with me. This is just vulnerable human side over here. But I don't know, it feels complete, a complete shift, a complete activation. Hello, it was during that time. So I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to, and I was thinking about it. I was like, if I did not go through everything, and even in the past lives, with when I shared with you the war, the galactic war and everything, I would not be able to relate at all
Hmm.
to those that have been through stuff, to help guide them into love and peace within,
Right.
So I'm grateful for it all at the end. So
Yes. Well, it's all in perfect timing too, right?
absolutely.
So, well, beautiful. So I guess our viewers probably want to know a little more about some of the visions that you've had with
Yes.
with that Arcturian life or lives. And so yeah, there have been galactic wars. Just, things have evolved
Yes.
through the universe, just like they're evolving here on this planet.
Yes.
So share
Uh,
some of that, your visions.
so one of the recurring ones that I've had, um, and this turns back again to my not having the knowledge, and then having the information, and then researching and finding, oh, it does exist.
Mhm.
Uh, the one that I was shared with you that time, and it happened also during one of our
The regressions.
yes.
Yes.
Um, so how there was a really, really bad war, and Arcturians, they're about love and peacefulness, and guiding to higher state of peace and love and everything. So they didn't have per se heavy artillery and like sneaky conniving killers and attackers and stuff like that. So a big group of us, it was like, talk about one, it was like one family, like one, it was not like one tribe with multiple families. It felt just like oneness, like, talk about non-duality, that's a whole different topic. So you know what I mean? And it was so painful because I wanted to fight, but my father was sending me away to save this small group that was defenseless.
Yeah.
Just for us, he's like, no, you have to go and save who's ever left, and his place was to stay. So, and I don't want to get emotional, because basically ever since that time, and I remember that's the last message that he keeps, the last one of the last things, like, always remember, it's in your heart. And we never reconnected in that time. So as in when and he kept, this is what the information I didn't know. He sent me and our small group of survivors, he's like, Sumatra, just go to Sumatra, so go to Sumatra. And I think that that's when we like had then when I did the research. So basically we escaped, we came to Earth, a small group, and we landed in Sumatra. I'm like, Sumatra. And then when I did research, there is a big, strong connection. And I don't like to use the word legend because it's not a legend.
Right.
Base and Sumatra Islands. So just like here, Hawaii, what it means for the Pleiadians, in Sumatra, there's been believed that, yes, they had a ship and a small civilization, established there back in the time. So I did not know about that, their legend and their stories in Sumatra Island. Exactly.
Mhm.
So and that recurred, and I just, oh my goodness. And I believe it felt that you were from my group, and there's one other person that I told you about that shall not be named in this video.
Well,
And
it's on island.
on the island, and one other person that I have not met yet,
Hmm.
that's somewhere on this island.
Yeah.
So, and what's interesting, I'm trying to connect because it all connects and it all interdimension. It's interesting. Here's what's interesting. My dad, as I was in this life,
Hmm.
he is career officer. My Arcturian father was as well a career officer. And the light that I was talking about my heart And I've told you, like I've asked you, I was like, is this possible? Because again, I did not know that we could actually connect and have different. I knew, but I did not. I thought that, for example, you can be human in this past life, human in past life, human past life, like stay within the race. I did not know that you could have multiple different. I did not know that, but it made sense to me because hello, completely Arcturian heart right here.
Yeah.
So the recurring vision that keeps happening again and ties in is when I have my Arcturian father's experience right before we part. Completely lights up, just like what happened in my heart on the activation from within. Just lights completely, just beautiful, strong, beaming light, completely fills him and then spreads out, and then he is gone. Oh, who's that? I'm so sorry.
It's
I'm
okay.
not sure what that is. Oh, oh, actually, I'm just realizing that for some reason, the laptop is about to die on me. What?
Oh no.
Hang on 1 second. What is going on?
Okay. Well, it's been an interesting technical difficulty day with
Yeah, absolutely.
technology. So anyway, yeah, beautiful story and remembrance. And for those of you watching, you know, the dreams that you're having, whatever recurring visualizations, things that are popping up, they are real. And just one of the things that I just want to share real quick is that last night in class, it was my final week of my 3-week connection to the cosmos class, where I guided people to experience their other lives. And we went to 5 different lives for them to observe. Well, you know, some of them were a couple of human lives, but there were a few people in my class that, okay, so one, she experienced herself being a full planet, like she was the presence of the planet. And then another one was like just pure energy. And okay, so in past life regression, which I do, really there is no past, there is no future, all timelines exist simultaneously. And so we are living this life, but we have numerous, like uncountable parallel lives that we are concurrently living. And we have the ability to tap into that and get the wisdom and really fully experience that. And so, yeah, we have Earth lives. Some people, very few people though, this might be their very first life. But, you know, we have lives in other dimensions, other time and space as well. And so that's what we are connecting into and bringing back here. So,
Absolutely. Yes.
yeah.
Amazing.
So how has knowing this information helped you?
Honestly, well, talking our 3D language, it made me feel not crazy as I've been led to feel, basically,
Yeah.
and complete and whole. Because the more, like I said earlier, the more I fought it and questioned it, the more it was tearing me apart and feeling incomplete and lost. But I feel whole. I feel like this is going to sound interesting, but I feel comfortable sharing it with this group. It almost feels like nothing that can happen in this 3D world. I don't want to use the word matters, but just true peace, just complete and true peace. And I know that we here in the group and many in the spirit world have been, you know, oh, you guys are just hippies and frou-frou. What are you talking about, peace or whatever? And that's I feel my true mission is for those that are so hurt and lost, or even completely blinded, and just I want to guide that. I want to be able to guide them into that state, that it is possible, it is true, it's not just frou-frou language coming from somebody like me that used to be angry all the freaking time, to what I've and it was without plant medicine, completely sober, and there is nothing that anybody could say to say, oh, it's just frou-frou and you're just like making it. No, it's
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's what I hope to do, is to be able to guide people into true peace and love. Yeah.
Well, and there are a lot of us that are here to help do that. And the more that we have, and that's why I want to have these conversations, I want to help people validate their experiences, their memories, and to wake up and be the light, be the love, create peace.
Absolutely.
Get out of the polarization that we have in this 3D earth. I mean, all the right and wrong and good and bad, and all things have a purpose. And even if we perceive something as negative, it has a purpose. It's for evolution.
Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay, let's switch gears just a tiny bit. So
yeah, I'll keep diving.
Oh, beautiful. Unless there's anything else that's feeling like it wants to be shared.
No, not at all. I could talk about this all day. No.
And well, and I could too, but I want to focus on the crystal aspect too, because you do own a beautiful crystal shop. So in person, you can purchase things, but you also sell things online. So for those of you watching that don't live on the Big Island in Hawaii, you actually can purchase some of her merchandise. Not everything ships perfectly.
No.
But there are things like the alien skulls that you can ship. And so just real quick, I just want to introduce everyone to my fleet. So you've had your store open for just over a year. And I was there for the grand opening with my stuff in there. And just trying to think. Okay, so this is the very first one that came to me from your store. And then then we have this bigger one. I just want to show the variety because, and then I love this one with the third eye. And then we have this one. So some of them have stones as their eyes, and then others like this one are just carved into the stone. So beautiful fluorite. And then this was my birthday gift from you. Amazing. And then this is my newest acquisition, my newest little family member that wanted to come home on Friday. So I have a collection of 7 of them now. And my husband, I know, my husband's like, another one? Yep. So I'm kind of an alien skull hoarder now, I guess. Or no, I'm a collector.
Yes, I like that better. Yes.
So tell me a little bit about the skulls, like why you started carrying them, and like, I mean, you source your stuff from really good people, right?
Yes,
so,
absolutely. Yeah. I think, and I've had experience where some people don't like them at all. They would come to the shop and they're like, ooh, like, and I'm like, I think one of the reasons why I carry them is to maybe send an it's okay message, especially to the youngsters that come in and see them and they get excited, and the parent might not be too excited sometimes, but at least they're not attacking them, you know what I mean? So it's vicariously to send that it's okay for the young ones that might be wondering or something like that. And even for those that are like, oh, I always say, you know what, it's okay. They're not, if they wanted to harm us, they would have harmed us ages ago. Like they would have, we would be their chew toys. They are not what, the media perceives it. Oh, be careful, they're going to get invaded. Oh, they're bad. So it's maybe to how you say that. This is where the languages get. They've become honestly very how you say when something is a custom, familiar.
Yeah.
I've had them in the shop, and before the shop I was selling from the apartment for almost like 8 months. So I've wanted them to be something that does not represent bad, because I always confirm and reaffirm to my customers when they're hesitant, even about the crystals in general. I'm like, you may not know me, but you've come here frequently enough to know that I'm not going to sell you bad magic or
right
blood ceremony, the bad kind, because there's blood, the good, but we're not going to get into that. But anyways, so so I'm trying to make it less scary by having them, if that makes any sense, that it's
well,
okay.
it does to me and hopefully to everyone else, because again, one of my whole points in doing this and teaching my classes and writing the stuff I do is to change that fear-based narrative.
Exactly.
Right. And so with the UFO tours, yeah, we're changing that fear-based narrative. Exactly. A couple people at a time, a group at a time, and people come into your shop, you are helping change that narrative too.
Exactly.
And so anyway, you do have some in the shop. So for anyone who's interested in purchasing them, yes. Tell people what your Instagram and your Facebook, how do they?
So we have a website and we're working on, it's going to launch next month. But so far, all this time, what the Instagram, and maybe I'll put in the comments somewhere.
Yeah.
It's Mermaids Crystals and Souvenirs on Instagram, or Irene Crystals on Facebook. And you can just send me a message and say, hey, I'm interested in an alien carving or another crystal. And then I can send you videos on private message and we can arrange from there. I know it's not as easy to click as a website, but that's why we're working on the website for next month. Yeah.
And it's because they're one of a kind, right? It's not like you have duplicates. So, this one with the druzy head, crown chakra.
Yeah.
There was just one of those. There was one that was similar.
Yeah, but they're never two identical, even if it's the same crystal, So.
Exactly. So that's and very reasonably priced. So, yes. And we will definitely put your links on in the comments on the Facebook page. And then if you're watching on YouTube, then she told you how to find her. Mermaids Crystals and Souvenirs on Instagram, or Irene Crystals on Facebook. Yeah. Okay. The other thing that I want you to talk about, because you just started carrying these in the store, and I have one. I wanted to wear my alien necklace today, but your Andara crystal, because so Andara crystals, there's a little controversy about them in the crystal world, but you've done your research and I've done some research, and next week we're going to have on Brandy Strider, who has a whole collection of them as well. And she really, understands the power of the Andara. And so I want you to share what it is and how it's legit.
Yes. So I was one of the, not complete no, because I always try to keep my open mind. So if you guys that are watching, maybe you've heard about it, the controversy, some people say it's absolutely not real, the man-made, whatever, and some that it actually has changed their lives. In a sense, just like if you guys are familiar with the Lemurian quartz crystal, so Starseed Lemurians, when they find their crystal, it's a complete full circle around, yes, and it holds an encoding for the Lemurian knowledge. So for the Andara, I'm not super versed, because it's you have to specialize, just like specializing in diamonds or wine. The Andara is the same. It's more than just specializing in crystal. There's a whole, so it's connected to the Andarians, which is a ancient civilization. Like, if I understand right, one of the very beginning of all civilizations. So they're even more ancient than the Lemurians, if you can fathom that. So So with that, when I heard and I did my research because I was curious, I was like, why so many negative around the Andara? And then I'm like, okay, well, I love the color purple and the color pink. Those are my two favorite colors. And I knew somebody that's very reputable in the community, and she's a medicine woman and a shaman that sources them for shops like me or individuals that want to get them directly from her. So when I went to visit her, I was lucky enough to do that. I had in my mind I want a purple or a pink because they're my favorite colors. So when I went, she said, just like I usually say, let the crystal shoes you. She said the Andara is even more important because the energy that the Andara holds is like a missing puzzle that will complete your make, like, let, you know what I mean? So I'm like, in my mind, well, I sell crystals. I can pick the purple one if I want. In my mind, the 3D monkey, you know. So, and sure enough, I look around and this one jumps at me, and it's like
blue.
the blue out of all the colors, and it felt just like what she described, like a missing link to me, like the missing, like it's. Anyways, so amazing. So the thing, please don't ask me because I'm still learning. Every color, just like the quartz crystal holds, you know, and clear quartz has its own healing properties. The Andara is the same. It's a monatomic crystal from Mount Shasta volcano in Indonesia, but they also have them in 2 or 3 other locations around the world. So the blue holds, you know, a meaning, and there's a pink and the aqua, and the purple and stuff like that. So, and I can go on, but like I said, I'm still learning myself. But when I looked, and it's like a magnet effect, like with me, I'm like, no man-made plastic piece would do that to me ever. I've no man-made jewelry ever did that to me. So
yeah. Well, and so I got the Aqua one, which I have worn over the last, I think I got it on Friday. I've worn it. People have seen me wear it since I did, or maybe no, I got it.
I saw you last time. Yeah.
But when I'm wearing it, people are like, oh my, that was meant for you. Like it's like a part of me.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
A customer of mine came, and in her mind, she's like, I saw online you had a blue, I want a blue. When she came in, the pink one was the one that she tried on the blue. And then we were both looking like, and then she put on the pink, and it was like more emergent with her, like, so beautiful, so beautiful.
So you still have some of those available too, if
do.
people are interested. So you can always reach out for that. Those are easy to ship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I knew Mount Shasta was one of the sources, but you said Indonesia.
That's what I heard. I wrote it down somewhere. Of course, I should have had it with me.
I just want to throw out.
Volcano. There's the volcano. Sorry, specific one that she mentioned. The one.
Okay.
Shoot, I wish I would have prepared that information.
No, it's okay. Maybe put it in the chat. Because I'm curious. Well, and we can have a conversation. But the reason why I'm saying that is because Sumatra is an Indonesian island, just like that.
Yep. And I did that connection too. I made that connection too when she said one of them is Mount Shasta, but also a volcano in Indonesia. I can't remember what it's called. Let me see real quick if I can find it here.
Well, and for those of you who, are like, okay, the volcano. So obsidian is a volcanic glass. It is a stone, but it's volcanic glass. And so this is, as I understand, very similar to how it's made from that volcanic energy. And actually here on the Big Island, we have one cinder cone that has obsidian, like, that has
there it is. The volcano Java in Indonesia.
Oh, in Java. Okay, so that's a different island, but yeah.
And she said Sumatra too. Okay. Yeah. Because I asked her. So I'm looking at our messages here.
Yeah.
So she said the Indonesian volcano Java, the Sumatra, and of course Mount Shasta, but
Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
Anyway, very interesting because Mount Shasta is also Hawaii's home, but Mount Shasta is also home to the remnants of the ancient Lemurians,
Of course.
the
Yes.
Agarthans, our inner earth beings. And so anyway, very powerful. So, okay. Now, the other thing, so you carry all these crystals, super cool, and you've got the jewelry. You also, for those of you watching that are local in Hawaii or you're coming to visit and you don't want to pay shipping, you carry my decks. So I have my newest oracle deck that just got birthed a couple weeks ago, the Aloha Spirit Oracle deck. So it's a booklet with 44 cards. And so I appreciate you supporting me and carrying
Of
my
course.
cards and my
Absolutely.
jewelry. And anyway, so you can get those at the shop. You also, I just want to show a couple of other examples of things I've gotten from you. So my Lemurian wand, which I have 2 of those, but that's the one that for some reason keeps wanting to be with me. I also have this beautiful quartz pyramid that I got. And then check out this Ganesha. So you get some really interesting pieces in the store.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
tried. Thank you.
Yes. And again, I know that you are very careful of where you're sourcing your stuff.
Yeah. To as much as I can. And that's what I always say. And I do not want to, excuse my French, bullshit anybody. I trust my sources, but I can never give 100 ironclad guarantee unless I'm there the whole each
Right.
step of the way. But I work with very reputable sources. So yep.
Which I appreciate. So, well, is there anything else that you would like to share before we wrap up?
I'm very grateful that we met at this point because it's interesting. Before you and I met, I was telling my husband Ryan, I'm in my 40s. I'm what's that word that they say? I'm too old to make lifelong friends or something like that. What's that? How does that go?
I don't know. I don't know that phrase because I don't believe it.
So I'm very, very grateful to have met you, and I mean it when I say you're my sister. So I love you to pieces. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for having me, despite the difficulties of the technical.
It's all good. We just roll with it, right?
And to everybody, especially the ones, I'm going to try to make it quick, especially the ones that have had a hard time fitting in. And I think a lot of us at this point have had peace and understand that we're whole within. And it's what I find myself now is trying to consciously not fall into the trap of, oh, I have love in my heart and those poor lost souls or whatever, because that will still create that division and that judgment. So I'm actively trying not to judge and just truly practice what I'm feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just, and if you've never felt like you belong or everything, know that you are whole, and you can contact me anytime. And I know what it's like not to feel like belonging for a long time. So but no, I belong right here, all within.
Exactly. Each and every one of us is whole and complete. We just have to remember that. And
Absolutely.
we are all connected. We are all one with each other.
Absolutely.
And when we really get to integrate that into our lives, that's when the fighting stops. That's when we can have peace and, and higher understanding, true awakening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Again, if you're interested in my new Aloha Spirit Oracle deck, I'll put the link to purchase if you're not on the Big Island, but otherwise go get it at the store. I will also be at the market this Saturday, Kona Commons. And I have one more spot to fill for my Sacred Soul Kona retreat, which is April 24th to the 30th. This is a week of transformation, true like healing, deep healing, and being able to move forward with full power and trust in oneself. And so if you're interested in that spot, now is the time to reach out. If you have questions, I'll put that link. And then otherwise, check out Mermaids Crystals and Souvenirs on Instagram, Facebook. You do lives regularly showing your products, but you know, everyone needs a little alien skull. And maybe an Andara necklace.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you all so much for watching. And next week we're going to have Brandy Strider on. I can't wait for that. And I will see you next time. Aloha.
Aloha. Bye.